likely difficult. I hope you walk away with quite some insights and a lot of actionable insights as well from the webinar. So starting off with the webinar, today's webinar is in partnership and collaboration with iCreate, NSRCEL, and IIITH. We've tried to collate a few of like really good speakers in a founder, in an ecosystem enabler, in along with someone who's in the funding industry as well. So I hope you guys have fun and it's insightful conversation between the panelists and our moderator Gladys itself. So to start off with, I am just going to give a brief introduction on what NSRCEL is, like a quick 2-minute intro. Post me, we have Neha from IIITH who will be doing that. And then over to you, Gladys. So just allow me to share my screen. Right. I hope this is visible.
Yes.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Got it. All right. So to start off with, NSRCEL is the NS Raghavan Center for Entrepreneurship and Learning. We were established in 1999, that is early 2000. We've been in the ecosystem since the last 2 decades, but we have been expanding our reach in the last 5 to 6 years itself. Our scale just in the last 1 year has been that we've incubated about 1,300 ventures in a year, and we've also reached out to, though we are headquartered within Bangalore, we've also reached out to about 25 states is what we've represented. What we are trying to do is our reach has expanded into tier 2 and 3 cities, co-incubating 13 other institutes, probably even in northeast areas, northern areas, and also in South India as well. And we are trying to work in the most underdeserved and high impact areas. One of our really good programs are women entrepreneurship. Two of our programs, along with corporates like Goldman Sachs and along with Kotak, only focus on women entrepreneurship. Along with women entrepreneurship, the other areas that we do are climate sustainability, indic, consumer brands, rural and agri-tech. We of course do mobility as well. I will give you a brief on that. Why are we doing what we do? We are trying to build capacity in the ecosystem. We are also trying to consult other incubators who are just starting out and try and do any sort of help that we can help these incubators as well. And how do we do it? This is the NSRCEL stack. The foundation is once a venture is onboarded with us, we are trying to fill in their entrepreneur abilities. We've really seen in the last couple of years that about 70% of the ventures tend to die out within the first year of their incorporation. But we've tried and studied what happens to NSRCEL incubated startups. That is because we work on their entrepreneur abilities and build the right foundation. That is the first principles, building their go-to-market, revenue models, help them in fundraise. We've seen that the life of a venture is not just within the first year, but then they tend to grow out of the first year as well. And that's how we do it. And what is the ecosystem that we are providing is through our mentorship, our startup kit, and our partner ecosystem. So we work with over 100 industry partners who are a part of our startup kit. These can be various things like AWS credits for startup, Google, Salesforce, Microsoft credits, or it can also be Zoho platforms for a CRM, etc. So this is how we've built a technology startup kit as well for ventures who are just starting out. And specifically talking about our mobility and our sustainability programs, we run an accelerator program in 6 months. And within these 6 months, our first phase is the screening phase where we shortlist, intro call, onboard. And once a venture is onboarded, we try and do need analysis, work on their first principles, P1, P2, try and do need-based mentoring, help them raise funds, connect the guys to right corporates, get you POCs, etc. So our program partners for the mobility program are Maruti Suzuki and Alstom. Along with these, we also work with think tanks like RMI, ARA, and Mycelio as well. What has the story been so far for us with mobility? We have finished about 3 cohorts and 80 ventures has been incubated previously. So among these 80 ventures, there are 6 successful POCs with the Maruti Suzuki team, and there are 15 currently in pipeline for the current cohort. So the 6 and the 15, 6 come out from the 40 ventures that we incubated in the previous 2 cohorts. And currently we have a cohort of about 30 ventures, wherein 50 run in pipeline for the Maruti innovation team. And with Alstom, we work on sustainability and climate tech ventures, sustainable mobility and climate tech ventures more specifically. We finished about two cohorts with them. In the two cohorts, we've incubated about 42 ventures, and there's a CSR grant that we give to the ventures. In the CSR grant, there's a corpus of 3 CR grant that has been given to about 22 ventures in the last two cohorts. The rest of it is just about the number of funds raised among the cohort and how many hours does a team put. On an average, in the 6 months, the team puts approximately 100 to 150 hours on each venture as well. Here is a QR code. Currently, we are open for applications for both our mobility and our sustainability program. Mobility program is in partnership with Maruti Suzuki, and our sustainable mobility program we are going to start very soon. Here's a QR code which will take you towards the website directly. You can go through the offerings and also what are the other things we offer along with, like certain things like building your revenue models, GTM, business incubation completely. But apart from that, what the offerings are, you can scan the QR code and take a look there. I'm going to stop here, and Neha, over to you.
Thank you, everybody. I hope I am audible. I represent CI Triple IT Hyderabad. Triple IT Hyderabad is one of the first Triple ITs to be set up in the country in 1998. And while there are about 35 plus triple ITs now. Triple IT Hyderabad continues to be unique on its own, as it is the research university that ranks in the country for research and in various areas of computer science, and has the largest research group in the country for AI. And this institution has also had a strong emphasis on translating the research into products and startups. So to enable the same, we've set up the Center for Innovation and Entrepreneurship, which is CIE, was set up in 2008, which has since grown to be the largest incubation academic incubator in the country. So the center has active programs across the spectrum of startups. Of a startup journey, right? So these includes the entrepreneurship courses and workshops for students, product labs to seed new products from that are coming from the research, and a pre-incubation program to help the entrepreneurs create new startups, and incubation to nurture early stage startups, and mentoring them through the programs to improve strategy and business development of these startups, and investors pitch days, demo days, and several other programs that we run. So our flagship event, which is called the Avishkar Accelerator Program, which we support deep tech, med tech, mobility, and media tech, predominantly these four domains we've been working with. And currently, our Avishkar winter cohort 2024 is we are calling for applications. And if you want to apply, you can go ahead and just in the website and just apply for the program. And if you meet the expectations and the criteria of the program, you can go ahead and apply for that as well. So that's a little bit about Triple IT Hyderabad and CIE. So we've been supported by the Government of India through the Department of Science and Technology, MIT, Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology. So a lot of our the strongest point that we have is the research that comes from the institute. So yeah, that's what makes CIE Triple IT Hyderabad one of India's largest and oldest academic incubators. So that's about CIE and Triple IT Hyderabad. So as to me, I am the associate for stakeholder and ecosystem engagement at CIE. So nice to meet you all, and I'm looking forward to listening from Mr. Avinash sir, Mr. Ravi sir, and Samir sir in the webinar. And I hope you have a great time learning from them. Thank you so much, everybody.
Thanks, Neha. Thank you so much for that. Guys, we will also drop in the website links in the chat box. Please do check out all the website. Gladys, over to you. You can take up iCreates and also start the conversation probably.
Yep. Thank you, Kuneen and Neha, for giving us a great insight about what exactly your organization does. And thank you for the warm welcome. Good evening, evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to a collaborative webinar on the topic Pioneering Sustainable Mobility, Startups Leading the Charge Towards a Greener Future, presented in collaboration with iCreate Ahmedabad, Triple IT Hyderabad, and NSRCEL Bangalore. Our organizations are dedicated to supporting startups that drive innovation in sustainable transportation. I'm thrilled to be your moderator today and hope this will be an enriching experience as we explore the sustainability and reality of mobility across the globe. But before we dive in, let me introduce myself. My name is Gladys Nair, and I head the learning and development at HighCreate, where I have been for close to 3 years, and I have 17 years of experience with the corporate giants like Wipro Technologies Mumbai, HSBC Hyderabad, and Tech Mahindra. So to give you a brief overview about iCreate, awarded the National Award for Technology Business Incubator 2020, is an autonomous center for excellence supported by the Government of Gujarat and Government of India. It's one of the largest institutions in India for transforming tech-driven startups. It's a 40-acre campus in Devdulira, Ahmedabad. We have so far supported 811 innovations, facilitated 59 plus patents. Our key focus area includes embedded systems, IoT, electric vehicles, agri-tech, smart cities, health tech, industrial automation, and renewable energy. We have collaborated with various leading institutions in US, Israel, and beyond, strategic alliances with CSIR, India's apex science and technology organization. So this webinar aims to promote collaboration among startups, established companies, and institutions while providing a platform for experts to share insight on sustainability and mobility. So we will highlight pioneering solutions from startups that contribute to greener future and encourage the audience throughout the discussion, and Q&A will be there towards the end. Additionally, the event seeks to connect us on a very larger scale. So without taking much of your time, we have our first speaker for today, and let me take his name. I proudly present Ravi Warrior. Can we have a big round of applause for Ravi Warrior, who is the founder of Funding Pitchcraft and the author of Impress Every Investor, and a comprehensive guide for startups seeking to improve their chances of securing funding with extensive experience in startup ecosystem. Ravi specializes in helping entrepreneurs crafting compelling pitches and align their strategies with investors' expectation. In the past 30 years, Ravi has worked as an entrepreneur, business consultant, and has run accelerator programs, and he's passionate about fostering innovation in the areas often overlooked by traditional players and conventional thinkers. So next, joining him, we have Samir Arif, who is the founder and CEO of Switched, an all-inclusive EV subscription business based out of Bangalore. Prior to Switched, Samir was the head of pricing strategy, and competitor intelligence at Jaguar Land Rover. He has held leadership position in the company in various functions in marketing, sales, corporate strategy, and purchasing. Educated at Henley Business School, UK, Samir is also a guest lecturer at Alma Mater. With a background at Jaguar Land Rover, Samir has successfully transitioned from corporate life to entrepreneurship. So welcome, Samir. We have next in line, Mr. Avinash Punekar, the CEO of iCreate, International Center for Entrepreneurship and Technology, who is dedicated entrepreneur with over 30 years of experience in technology and management. He has worked with leading global companies to build startups, and he has initiated a lot in the world of innovation. Avinash has guided over 200 startups and mentored more than 25 startup, showcasing his commitment to fostering innovation, holding over 60 intellectual property rights and across various sectors, which includes aerospace, IT, agri-tech, and has made significant contribution to entrepreneurship. Prior to joining iCreate, Avinash was the CEO of IIT Mandi and HCL Foundation. He has served as the CTO of Apex Co-Vantage. So a warm welcome to all the three experts that we have today. Moving ahead, Ravi, so I request you to present your slide and talk about this. So we will just take a pause, a slight technical glitch that we have. So just a second, and Vijay is trying to fix it. We will be presenting your slide in a moment, please.
Sure.
Thank you.
And thank you for the introduction.
You're welcome, Ravi. These things are quite natural, so
It happens. I can continue if you want. I just have one title, one sentence in my slide. I'm sure the audience not going to miss much because I'm going to be repeating it multiple times. And when it's ready, you can put it up. So if you want, I can continue.
Okay, let me just he's just fixing it. Yeah, sorry
Sure.
about trouble.
Guys, meanwhile, I can share the screen and we can move it forward with it. Let me know if it's visible.
Okay, it's up. Yes, Ravi, it's over to you. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, Conan, could you move to my opening slide, please?
This one?
No, that's my, yeah, that one. Yeah, thank you. Okay, so good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Thank you, Kunin, Neha, and Gladys for hosting me and others. So I'm not going to take too much of time, but I just want to start with a story or a couple of stories, right? So in 1994, I worked with a guy whom I called Mr. J out of respect. He was a shipping magnate, but after he retired, he started a computer company just because he was passionate with computers and tech, and he hired me, right? And one of the lessons that he taught me way back in 1994 has stuck with me throughout my career. He said, clever people don't make machines and cars. They make nuts and bolts, right? And what he meant by that was not everybody needs machines and cars, but everybody needs nuts and bolts. It was a metaphor for creating the essential products that support everything else and something that everybody will always need. Business consultants call this the long tail, right? And some years later, I came across another phrase which propelled my thinking or my understanding of innovative practices. And that phrase was nooks and crannies, right? As it stands, and it stands for those hidden places that most people overlook or avoid because it doesn't seem exciting, profitable, or sometimes even seem scary to them. It's easy to follow your herd people into the main room, the main space. But true innovators are people who go into these corners looking for opportunities. Now, why am I telling you this? I think that these two lessons perfectly apply to the current landscape of the EV industry. Right now, most people are focused on machines and cars of the industry, right? So you have the vehicles, the batteries, the charging stations, ERP systems, the mobility as a service platforms. Now, these are critical, but they're also becoming very crowded and competitive. And I'm not entirely sure, but for some reason, it's also stagnating. And I think one of the main purpose of this webinar was to figure out how can we make our futures more greener. And that means we have to make sure that the adoption of EVs goes up, right? Now, if you are a startup trying to enter the space, you're going to find it very difficult to compete and stand out. But if you shift your perception and widen it to the nooks and crannies of the broader EV value chain, you'll see a lot of spaces with untapped potential. Areas like end of lifecycle management, voice user interface, user experience systems, inclusive design, cybersecurity, data analytics, smart city planning, and integration services or platforms. These are the places where most people are not going These are the nooks and crannies, and there are lots of nuts and bolts to be made in these nooks and crannies. So if you are a person that's thinking of getting into the EV industry as a startup, my advice to you is try and do something different. Figure out what people need and are not getting, and try and innovate in that space. I'm done. Thank you, Gladys. Over back to you.
Thank you very much, Ravi, and really very insightful. And I really loved the way you mentioned that, okay, we need to find out something different. There will be a lot of problems and challenges, but how are you going to find out a solution in that? That's what make an entrepreneur better, right? So thank you so much for that. And now I would like to invite our next speaker, Samir Arif, to share his insights and thoughts.
Thank you so much, Gladys. Thank you, everyone, for joining, for having me here. Again, I unfortunately, no PowerPoint for me. I've made enough PowerPoint in my corporate career to stay away from it. So I'll try and transform into what a founder I think should do, is actually do talk some sense and have less slides. So you've got my overview. Very simply, I left a very very good corporate life. I left a fantastic country. I'm British by passport, obviously Indian by ethnicity. And I moved to Bangalore in the south of India to start a company, just because I thought I was very passionate about something I wanted to try. Never done something or never been an entrepreneur before. The little did I realize, because it's what you end up doing, is that there's a lot of things you learn on the go. First thing was, I had my Hindi was terrible, and I moved to Bangalore and I didn't know any Kannada. I operate a business in a regulated market with the Motor Vehicles Act, the Transport Authority, all having certain regulations in order to operate my kind of business. So to give you a very quick idea, I run a small startup called Switched. Essentially, what Switched does is it provides electric vehicles, primarily two-wheelers, no cars. So that's interesting, because I'm from the car industry. I love cars, but I very quickly realized and had to pivot that the demand for cars, especially EV cars, is significantly lower than the demand for electric two-wheelers. India is a two-wheeler market. So I give them on like a monthly subscription, kind of like Netflix, Spotify, Disney Hotstar, etc., to try and make one of the fundamental problems of EV adoption, which is the fact that EVs are currently quite expensive. They're between 30 to 50% more expensive than traditional combustion engine products. So if you're able to remove the upfront cost barrier through an alternate way of usage, right? Also at the same time benefit society by allowing people to utilize assets in multiple ways. Bangalore is, and again, a city. A lot of Indian cities are overcrowded with vehicles. So a sharing platform that's something different to what Bounce or Yulo is, but it's from a private user with low upfront investment, very flexible, with the ability for you to change vehicles month on month. So you have the ability to show off, because if you're a young millennial, early Gen Z. So I worked out the maths, thought it worked, quit my job, started Switched. It's been almost 3 years. We're fairly successful. I run a profitable business that is now raising its sort of third round of funding to scale it from just Bangalore now to other parts of India. So thank you for having me, and happy to answer more questions as they come. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Samir. And your story sounds very filmy. I mean, like from the corporate comfort, you moved to an entrepreneurial journey. And I know that it's not full of roses, and you have been struggling a lot. I have just gone through your story. So it's very, very inspiring. Keep up the good work that you have been doing, and what you are providing back to the society. That's very, very nice and great that you're doing. So thank you for sharing your story. And now I would like to invite Avinash for sharing his thoughts. He will be highlighting on the importance of ecosystem and discuss the startup journey. Yeah, so it's over to you, Avinash. Thank you. Sir, you're on mute. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Gladys. Sorry, I overlooked that factor. Thank you for having me here. It has been wonderful journey. A lot of you have done different things. So I did also actually have the same kind of journey. I spent a lot of time actually in the corporate sector, a number of entrepreneurial ventures, uh, failures, including a complete bankruptcy, then rising back from it, rebuilding, successful exits, everything I had done. And all these experiences, over a dozen ventures that I had done myself, half a dozen ventures were my own kind of thing. I learned a couple of things that I started when the ecosystem wasn't in existence. And a lot of things which could have been actually helpful as an entrepreneur were missing. So after having a long stint in the industry entrepreneurial journey, I decided to actually switch over and become an enabler in the startup ecosystem. And I've been fortunate enough to actually head the IIT Mandi Human Computer Interaction Hub, and also iCreate now. Especially at iCreate, we are one of the very few standalone technology business incubators, which is not affiliated to either any academic institution or any institution as such. And iCreate has been focusing primarily on tangible products and manufacturing as its focus, as against purely the software or the SaaS kind of startups. Uh, there's been a wonderful mix of actually startups at iCreate. Our approach typically is basically what we say is the entrepreneur first approach, wherein we believe that a project might fail, the entrepreneur doesn't. And we've had multiple examples of entrepreneurs who failed in one or two of their ventures, turned around, and in their second or third venture they were extremely successful. And these are stories which were actually essayed out in iCreate itself. So that focus on giving more importance and focus to entrepreneur is something which is part of our core values, and we are a high touch incubator. Our interaction levels with our startups are far more detailed. And since we have a sort of remote residential campus, our mentors in startups effectively actually interact and live with each other and spend a lot of time together to really actually work on their product solutions, their product market fit, offerings, and the entire journey. We've had some very good successful startups, as iCreate took up the task of setting up the EV Center of Excellence just about 3 years back. And as part of the journey, it conceptualized the Evangelize Grand Challenge, which was is the largest pan-India Grand Challenge for the EV industry. And we started with actually the first iteration we had about 500 applicants. In the second iteration we had about 1200 applicants, and third iteration we had close to 3000. So over 5000 innovators, entrepreneurs in the EV space we interacted with. We had taken about 43 of these under our wings, and in less than 2 years 32 of them actually completed their product development successfully. And out of those 32, 24 have already commercialized their offerings. When we started what Ravi had beautifully mentioned, the nuts and bolts, and what really is probably a clever idea. We encourage our startups and innovators to focus more on the components and sub-assemblies rather than the entire vehicles, which helped us when we started with focus on cycles, two-wheelers and three-wheelers, where the import components component was basically 95%. And in 2 years time our startups indigenized over 85% of the components. Now this is something which has been absolutely amazing. And between these 17 odd startups which have already commercialized, they have raised over 100 crores of funds also. Some of the examples you might be actually you might know that ChargeZone has become one of the leading charging service providers, which originated here. There's been some amazing technological innovations which these startups have managed to do. And our focus on like actually the components and sub-assemblies has like actually meant that our startups are able to work with multiple like actually players in the industry. They have become their suppliers, they have become the providers for them. And some of these innovations are absolutely amazing, and I hope to like actually tell you more about some of those in the course of today's like actually discussion. I look forward to actually learning and hearing a lot more from people and maybe interacting with all of you. So thank you, Gladys.
Thank you so very much, Avinash, for highlighting about the achievements that iCreate startup has been recognized on a very higher level, and highlighting about the evangelized challenge that we did, which was one of our flagship program. So thank you very much. Now let's move back to the question and answers. And again, I'm coming back to you, Avinash, with my first question for you. What do you believe are the biggest challenges that startups face in the EV space, and how can they overcome that?
So the first challenge of like actually startups and innovators who are coming in, which like Ravi's point, I'll take up again. A lot of people are trying to like actually yet another like of something which now is sort of getting saturated, or there are number of players who are there. So if someone is starting just now, so it's not like actually the space where they should be getting in. They need to identify their nooks and crannies and their opportunities which are there, away from probably the more visible or the glamorous kind of opportunity. The innovation will have to be like really deeper kind of innovation. They will need to like dig deeper and like actually have something to offer. It's yet another of like some, or like a vehicle is not going to like really give them the breakthrough. The challenges also for them like actually coming from like which are the overall industry challenges, which is typically the high initial costs, the dependence on like the subsidies which is there. Again, one interest targeted at larger companies, whereas if like actually the government and the authorities can consider like directing these subsidies at component makers and smaller startups, it that like the subsidies are going to be only there for a while. So any like business plan which factors in like continued subsidies is not going to really be a viable like business plan as such. uh, we have to like look at like reducing our reliance on imports which is there. And we do see a lot of like actually products out there in the market. Underneath like actually the packaging, you find that like it is all about like imported uh, that again is not like a long term like actually viable possibility for startups. You need to look at like actually indigenizing like your own basically like actually parts and components, alternative technologies in anything, like whether it's batteries or explore. Obviously, like the sustainability and recycling and all those end of life kind of management will have to be looked into. The consumer misconceptions or like the hassles are going to be probably like actually regulatory landscape is still like actually uncertain. One of the challenges that you will face is like actually always at whenever you're going to like actually having the right kind of infrastructure for testing and certification and the process. So what is available either with agencies like ICAT or ARAI has a finite capacity and availability. The costs of those are also high. At iCreate, we actually ended up building like our own infrastructure, which is available to startups for cell cycling, battery cycling, or like actually the dynos for like testing out motors and all. So this is something which is going to be an area which you will face like blockages, and this is something which you'll need to plan in your overall project plan as such. And that's something which like actually is going to be like the key challenges which are there. The bigger and opportunity which exists is to like actually have deep tech innovations which are done. One interesting possibility is you may not necessarily have all the research resources at your disposal, but I create with partnership of CSIR or even the Poland-based like Lukasiewicz research network. What we offer like the possibility for start research capabilities and also the infrastructure in the labs of CSIR or LRN in Poland. So all these are possibilities. A lot of this infrastructure is absolutely, some of the researchers are really good, but as goes with like our typical academia or research labs, their focus is more on like probably papers, publications, and maybe patents, and not on like translational research. Our startups and innovators could like take up the challenge of part of it, take up the research, take up like some of these challenges or problem statements to these institutions, get your problems quickly solved, and get your solutions up and running. So those are, I feel that like the challenges are also the opportunities which are there. Thank you.
Yep, thank you very much, Avinash, for sharing those insights. And it's very clear that while challenges exist, there are them successfully. And as the CEO of iCreate, your perspective is invaluable. So startups should come forward. They can pick up the problem statements, and government is already taking a lot of initiatives. CSIR can play a major role in this. So we are also there in this initiative. Yeah. So let me move to the next speaker, Ravi. So I'm coming to you. So as you mentioned, like the EV space is becoming crowded in the areas like batteries, that the EV space is becoming more crowded. And the charging stations as well. So what specific parts of the value do you see as an untapped opportunities for startups? Ravi, I think you're on
Yeah, I
mute.
just figured that out.
Okay.
Thank you. Good question, Gladys. Okay. So there are a lot of spaces in the value chain that are untapped. I mentioned a few in my opening, which is end of life management, voice user interfaces, user experience systems, inclusive design, etc., etc. Right? But let me take an example to illustrate just one opportunity. Now, there was a news article that came back a few days ago about the US Senate considering banning Chinese EVs because they suspect the vehicles to collect and send driver and passenger information back home. Whether it's true or not is not my call, but I've had a similar concern for almost every smart tech available out there, right? And when I saw a few years back, a car came out with internet inside, I had the same kind of paranoia rise up again. I'm worried that my car is recording my voice or my conversations. It's, knowing the places I visit, how many times I visit it, how do I drive, right? We've seen many cases where the style of driving is shared with insurance companies, and the insurance hikes or manipulates the rates. So all this happens in smart technology. We're moving towards that. And I don't plan to buy an EV just because of this paranoia of mine. Now, there is an opportunity there with everything going smart and with the age of privacy and security becoming or coming in the forefront. Cybersecurity within EV is a huge domain, right? It's a huge untapped potential. So, for example, can somebody build a device or make an app that lets me test, monitor, or control the information my car would collect and send to somebody? I mean, why not make an app that says, okay, connect it to your car, or, monitor your car and see if you're being spied on or whether your personal information is being sent, right? It's a nook and cranny, it's a nut and bolt. Every EV vehicle owner would want something like this, right? So that's one of the examples of the value chain, which is untapped as of yet.
Okay, that sounds great. Very interesting. I mean, like, yeah, if we can get some such app which is going to spy on the vehicle, and then we get the information, okay, there are certain things which is happening at the back of your car. So that would be great. Very valid points, Ravi. Really like the way you responded. So Samir, I'm coming to you for the kind of motivation that you had to start your journey with Switch. So I would like to know more about this journey, how you can inspire people, especially considering the financial risk involved. What were the biggest challenges that you have faced during that transition?
Okay, all right. So, I'm one of those uh, lucky ones, and I don't shy about it at all. I did very well in my career. I was paid very, very well for my age. So I had enough savings to give you an idea. I personally put in just under 1.5 crores of my own cash to start Switch. So I didn't need to go through a pre-seed kind of accelerator program to kick it off. But this was money I was willing to lose as think of it as an MBA. I don't have a master's degree. I never needed to do one for my career. But it was a cash investment that I may never get back. I probably won't get back. I've not made any. I've only started taking salary from Switched about 6 months ago. So since 21 when I quit till 6 months ago, I made no pay. So it's a hard sacrifice. My partner, or now my wife, because I got married earlier this year, she's British. She's never left England. She moved to India to do this for me. So you bring along your family, your friends. You leave a lot of things to start something that you hope works out. So in sacrifice and in Wayne, it, it's for the betterment, I think, for yourself and for what you want to build. So if you want to take that kind of risk, because you could lose every single thing, and if you're an entrepreneur today, or you want to be an entrepreneur, when someone asks me, should I do it, should I not do it, my only point is it's pure maths. There's extremely high chance you will fail. The guy Corinne was saying, in the 70% of startups close in the first year, like even close, right? So if you want to quit your job, you think you've got everything ready, just know that you need runway. Runway may be 12 months, 18 months, 24 months, but just if you're not ready to make this kind of commitment and lose everything, because as a founder, even if you raise VC funding and someone buys your company, luckily in 3-4 years from now, and your shareholders agreement is that they get paid first, then someone else gets paid, then you get paid, you may still come out with less than what you put in. So just be very ready to lose all of it. And that's something, as long as you're okay with that, then whatever comes your way, perseverance is the next thing. So yeah, for me, it's been 3 years. I learned a lot. Especially for me, the language was a big thing. I knew Hindi, but I couldn't speak it very well. So I learned it very quickly. I actually went on Shark Tank India as well in season 2. I didn't get any funding from there, but I had raised my first equity round. I learned Kannada, which is a very difficult language personally, I think, to learn. If you don't know any South Indian language, that's not where your forte is. But my entire operations team speaks Kannada. The police you need to interact with, the transport authorities speak Kannada, and in many cases they're unwilling to look at you as a local person. So I learned it. It took me 3 months, but I learned enough basics to do business Kannada. So yeah, for any entrepreneur who's doing that, just it takes effort. You need help. Please have someone around you. It's a partner, it's your parent. Just have someone around you. I'm a single founder. Every single decision has to be made by me. There's no one else that bears the risk. So please, just take it very seriously. It's all glamorous because we only see the glamour, but it all isn't. I've washed vehicles, delivered vehicles, over 150 of them to customers personally in a suit, sat in trucks and porters in 40-degree heat outside, learned about porters. I have major sympathy for people who work extremely hard in India. So yeah, happy to answer the next question.
Samir, very, very interesting. I mean, I can tell that perseverance is the key. And for startups, the only mantra is hard work, hard work, hard work. There's no shortcut. And we know that 90% of startups fail, but you have overcome that hurdles, and you had the when everyone was there. Irrespective of you understanding the language, you worked with people. So you need to understand the emotions, how well connected you are with people. If you're making a product that's not for yourself, but you're making it for the customer. So you identified the right place, right business, and that's why you're where today you are. Right. So that's what makes all the difference. So keep doing what you're doing. Right. I'll come back to you again in the next with next set
Sure.
of questions. So great job, Sameer.
Thank you.
For how can startups effectively collaborate with larger companies or governments? As you spoke in the last, that there can be certain initiatives and there are challenges, but how they can collaborate with these companies or governments and enhance the adoption of sustainable technologies, and how iCreate can be a key player in helping startups and the entire ecosystem. Yeah.
So, in fact, when I create like actually the component sub-assemblies, we had like actually in a way driven our startups or guided our startups to work with larger corporations and collaborators kind of thing. And we've like actually been very vocal about like actually focusing on and this is something which allowed us to like actually reach out to a lot of larger players, have them like put their test mules on our campus or take like actually the products and technologies from our startup for like testing in their environment. And this closer working with like actually the corporate sector allowed us to like actually support our startups. And they've been like actually we have like some amazing startups in like actually the what used to be like earlier the happening area of like whether it's BMS or motor controllers or motors. In motors, when we look at like actually startups which have come up with like new topologies which are there, magnetless motors, whole lot of like actually innovations which were there. And the corporate sector then like was in a way more welcoming because our startups were not directly competing with them at the larger level. They were becoming like part of their journey, collaborative in their approach. For the government also, like trying to promote like actually in a way support of like the subsidies, whether it's fame or like any of the production linked incentives and all to like actually get trickle down to like the startups directly. We're hoping happening. And a government coming. One interesting like side effect of like our focus on components and technologies that we discovered was that like some of our startups identified opportunities which were outside the EV space as such. So like the motors and the controllers or the technologies which they developed found applications more in consumer goods. So some of these like giants actually picked up like technologies like motors and the controllers which were there and adopted them like into their own like actually products. So this is something which allowed them to like actually scale up or like actually have more like actually reliable customer base or much wider customer base. And that is something which was basically a good discovery that like when you have components which could be repurposed or reused or utilized in like across different much larger opportunity which was there. We were like actually our startups are making the nuts and bolts. Companies which are in EVs, they can sell these components to actually other players in the market. So that's overall when we see that like actually the collaborative approach worked out better because sometimes startups don't have that necessarily the skill set or the resources available for a methodical systematic like testing data preparation which was lacking in some of the startups didn't have which was like in a way enabled by the larger corporations to put down like actually the processes for testing, the reports which need to be generated, which need to be shared. And that was like actually a learning for the startups also from the corporates, that this is how we go about effectively like building up a systematically like process driven organization. And some of our startups have like really adapted and adopted those processes really well. And I'm quite like actually happy that like they're now on the in the phase where making significant contribution to the like both to the country and to the overall ecosystem. Interestingly, we've had like some startups which actually build their products taking components from other startups on the campus. So the entire product was built by like actually not through like actually doing innovation or development. They just went around, looked at like what everyone was doing, and they came up with the thing that, oh wow, work, let me like actually just package it together and call it my product. And it's like actually something which now I'm happy to share that like those guys are now probably like getting one of the largest orders ever for the product out in the market. And this is basically because they started with like actually putting together components from all the other startups in our ecosystem. So that has been like a wonderful journey, and like the collaboration that we really looked at is now emerging. And we decided to take this one step further. And the challenges, maybe like I probably had mentioned that one of the things here is the larger players, corporates don't have visibility on what kind of components, technologies, solutions are available from startups. They're not, the startups are not yet visible. They're not on the radar of these companies and reach out. So basically a open platform, free platform called iEVC, which would be basically a EV component product discovery platform, which is free of cost for all startups and corporates kind of thing. And we want to have like the entire supply chain enabled, the EV component supply chain enabled within India with components, products from our startups visible to the corporates, and the entire like actually ecosystem getting enabled from there. Thank you.
Yep, absolutely. Yep. So great thoughts, Avinash. And it's we will be soon having the tag that, okay, Make in India and Atmanirbhar Bharat, the slow. We are proud that, okay, there are certain components and battery system that our startups are working. That's already there in the market, the coolant and all. So great effort is being done by I Create startups, and I believe others are also there. So they are going to contribute more towards the ecosystem. Yeah, thank you for that. And Ravi, I am coming to you with my next question. What advice would you give to startups on how to innovate in segments of EV industry that seem saturated, such as vehicle manufacturing or a mobility as a service, MaaS? So your thoughts on that, please.
As always, I forgot to unmute myself. Okay, so I mentioned this before, right? Most of the opportunities are there in the nooks and crannies. So yeah, one way to innovate is look there. But I won't talk about that again and sound like a broken record. So let me talk about product innovation in general. And this would apply to EV industries as much as it applies to any other products, right? So there are three levels of innovation that I teach in my entrepreneurship or product management class. So the first one is product innovation. The second one is business operations. And the third one is market innovations, right? So the first one, product innovations, is about trying to figure out what product to build or what features to include in a product that you've already thought of. You may have it, you may think of building it, but you want to add some more features. And that product innovation comes primarily from doing customer discovery, which is the process of answering three questions, right? So first, what is the problem? Two, how many people have that problem? And three, are they willing to pay to solve that problem? Now, if you answer these questions, you know, okay, there is a problem to be solved, and there are people who will pay to solve this, and there are lots of people to pay to solve this. So that's the product innovation part, right? And this, with the background of nooks and crannies, works perfectly well. right? You go into a corner, you see a crack, you look deeper, and you'll find something to do. The second innovation is business operations, and Avinash mentioned this in his answer, that in iCreate, there were a couple of startups that looked at what other startups were doing and then brought them together, right? Unfortunately, most startup founders think competition is the only way to go, right? Collaboration is also another way to go. In fact, collaboration always, always works out better than competition. So if you can find ways to do something with your competitor, make them a collaborator and do something together. Let them build screen A while you build screen B, or let them build app A while you build app B, and then bundle them together to increase the value of your combined product. Business operations could also mean as simple as how can you optimize your processes, whether this is manufacturing, mining, distribution, product development. It could be as simple as optimizing your processes for HR, right? So how do you recruit people? Can you recruit people fast enough? You want researchers, if you take 6 months, 1 year to find a researcher to join your team, that's not innovation. Can you find a researcher fast enough? And the third is, how do you find a way to get to your market in a way that almost is guerrilla marketing, right? So all your competitors are trying to get the attention of the same customer in the same way, but can you do something different, right? So can you approach a different market? Can you approach it differently? Can you say different things? If everybody's saying sustainable, 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 leave Earth better for your children, if you say the same thing, you're going to be drowned in that noise, right? So can you say something different? Not untrue, but something else, right? So a person like me who may not really care about sustainability or eco-friendliness, but maybe for me, cost savings may be a thing, right? So can you give me a different message? Can you convert me as a customer to your product, right? So innovations can happen in 3 buckets: product innovations, business operation innovations, and your market innovations. And all 3 for a startup, I'm sure both Avinash and Samir will agree with me, over a period of time, whether knowingly or unknowingly, they would have tried to figure out workable solutions to problems that they've faced. And that's what innovation means, right? This is not working. I've been doing these Facebook ads, or I've been doing these LinkedIn ads, or I've been doing these newspaper ads. Nobody's buying my damn car. Can I do something different? That's innovation, right? Yep. So, so my advice is, don't just look at product innovation. Okay, कि मुझे ये बनाना है, battery बनाना है, battery को improve करना है. Yes, all that is there, but you also need to look at business operation innovations if you're already existing, or if you're just starting out, or you can look at marketing and think of ways to do different. You could sell the same battery, right? You're making the same Excite battery that you're selling the same Excite battery that every other guy is selling, but can you sell it different? So those are the innovation areas.
Yep, absolutely. Yep, Ravi, absolutely brilliant. I mean, like, I really liked the question that you wanted startups to ask themselves, that whose problem are we? So that's very important before we start off anything. And then the collaborative approach, as you and Avinash mentioned, that's very, very important, because that's going to take a longer way. You alone cannot build anything yourself. You need people to support you and take you further, right? So I mean, next question, I'm coming to you, Samir, about your success mantra. If you have any success mantra that you have, you already mentioned about that, but I'll just take one more question for you. So, and then we will be moving to the question and answer.
I wouldn't. I mean, again, I wouldn't really say that. There's a.
That is
first, I don't know yet if I'm successful or my business is successful. Just because it's raised funding, it turned profitable, doesn't mean anything. It may. The hope is it goes to do something fantastic. That's right. My hope. But it may not happen. There's a lot of other things. So I don't know yet if that's successful or not. One of the things, I started my business just in my 30s, right? So 21-year-old Samir who would have done a startup would have totally failed, right? He knew absolutely nothing about finance. He knew nothing about operations, knew nothing about collaboration, knew nothing about negotiation. So, audience, if you're in your early 20s and you're like, I've watched way too much Shark Tank, I can do this. Remember for the fact that I'm in my 30s and I'm doing it. There's a lot of experience that the corporate life has taught me. That training is very important to start, including even the mental capability to manage multiple tasks at one time and to be not an angry young man, which a lot of people in the 20s are, but to be a calm person who can manage risk, people, operations, money, all of those things. So one of the biggest things I think for what worked for me that a lot of founders didn't is that when I started my business, I did absolutely no buying of anything. I hired no one because I figured out that there's a lot of stuff that you can do on your own. And something that Ravi was on about earlier when he just answered that question was, firstly, who's out there willing to pay for something and how much are they willing to pay for?
Yep.
Before I did anything, before I even incorporated Switched, I'd launched a website. That basically it was a very, very plain vanilla website. I created it myself on Wix. So you don't even need to have a website design. You just create something in Wix. And I literally put pictures of Enola and Aether and so on and so forth with some kind of pricing. I had no idea what the pricing strategy should be, how much a customer will pay for it. But what I did was every weekend for 2 months, I launched an ad and I targeted Bangalore, I targeted Chennai, I targeted Delhi. I had no product. I said, join a free wait list. That's all I did. And people started joining. They put in their details. It's really interesting because then over time, 1,000 people had joined my free wait list, hoping that they'd get a vehicle. I had no vehicles. I spent no money. And I spoke to each one of them. I spoke to 1,000 people, right? My phone bill went really high because I was in England still doing this rubbish. But I still did it. And I realized after that 25% of those 1,000 people are actually serious, right? And this is invaluable. This is invaluable lesson. Otherwise, I'd have gone and spent 10 lakhs, bought some vehicles and gone, oh my God, who do I sell it to? So just the point about success is that it's all little steps without trying to really overthink everything. And in our life, we overthink too much. Sometimes just do it. It's okay. Just don't overthink about every single risk because you don't have the capability. You're not running Tesla where there's people from Harvard and IITs and blah, 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 running all the risk scenarios. In a small startup, you're trying to do something that's very different. You may or may not know that there's a market out there. Try very small things without trying to spend too much money. And firstly, test before going out to invest. Once you think there's something, then do it. But get help. Get as much help as you can. If you don't have the experience, then surround yourself. You've got NSRCEL, you've got iCreate, you've got so many accelerators, you've got so many people out there who can try and give you advice. Everyone in India now wants to give you startup advice, but just join an incubation program, pitch an idea. But firstly, you need to know, are you I saw the question there. I'm sure you'll answer it. Yeah, exactly. So just be ready and ask for help if you want.
Right. That's great. Absolutely, Samir. I mean, brilliant. And I know that you had a roller coaster ride and your journey was not so easy, but still you have overcome that. So that's really great, interesting thoughts from your end. And now we will move to the question and answers. We have a couple of questions which is there in the chat box and we will take those questions. So I think
both questions the question is to me. I was just replying to Shipra.
Yes. So how to make an impressive pitch deck?
Right. So Shipra, the answer that I was typing was, let's take this offline because that's not the focus of this webinar, right? I appreciate and I feel nice that you asked me that question and you're interested in that, but we'll take it offline. In the meantime, my my website is there on my profile somewhere. I think it's there. Somewhere there, right? So just visit the website, figure out stuff, and then you can contact us, and my team or I will help you out figuring out how to make a impressive website, impressive pitch deck. Yeah. So let's keep the questions to the topic on hand. And if there is time permitting, I don't mind answering the question, but let's leave it for the end. Okay.
Yep, great. Yep. So we're open for questions. Let me check if we have any more questions. Yeah. Kunin, if anybody has any question, I mean, like, I believe everyone can hear us loud and clear. So people, we would like to hear your thoughts, any questions, any suggestions are very welcome.
Let me break the ice, Gladys. Let me ask a question to Samir. Right. Samir, pretend I'm from the audience. Right. I found your story pretty interesting, and you had a very interesting way of saying it. Right. Not many founders that I speak to or I hear from uh, have this knack of telling a story that makes it interesting for the audience, right? So I really appreciate that. It was fun listening to you. So my question to you is very simple, right? If okay, so if there was another chance that was given to you, right, in the EV space. So you created Switch, and this was about renting of EVs. But let's say you didn't have that, and you wanted to start today, but you wanted to be in the EV space, right? For the benefit of the audience, what is that one business idea that you may have that they can steal?
Interesting. So I would definitely not become an EV manufacturer. I would definitely not. I couldn't give. Oh my God, I need to control my Britishness a little. I could not give a rat's bum about batteries. I think there's enough players. There's no point. I just don't think there's any point. I think where I would have probably, given the hindsight now, seen where the market is gone. I would have definitely looked at something on EV financing, right? Especially for logistics businesses. So now, obviously, now there are enough players, but 2 years ago, if you had started something like that, but I think there's still a very good market for especially in parts of India where there isn't enough funding, right? So look at northeast of India. If you are a logistics EV provider and you want to start a business, you still have the same problems as anyone, but the ability for you to finance or raise finance is very small. And there's not enough players doing it because they feel the risk is too high. Because personally, a financier feels the risk is too high in the northeast of India. I couldn't see that. I went traveling out there. I really don't think there is that much kind of
I
significant risk.
agree.
More risk in Uttar Pradesh for your vehicle to be stolen. Right. So I think there's serious scope there. And if I had that kind of thing, I would definitely start. I would have taken my 1.5 crores, financed 150 odd EVs for a logistics company at 18 to 20% interest rate, because it's really good. For 3,000, 4,000 rupees a month, the revenue that the logistics operator makes is like 50,000 rupees. So lease to revenue ratio is fantastic. And they want to pay you money because that's how they make money, right? That's something I would have really done. I would have never done batteries. I would have never done. And you can't compete. You just can't compete. So why go into something when you can't compete? You will burn everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. So do we have questions, or do you want me to
So yes, there is
pretend to
one
be an
question.
audience over and over again?
Right. So biomass gasification and liquefaction. I would like to work on e-fuel till EV are common or transition, but it need a lot of R&D and money. How should I proceed as I am in the idea phase also? Also, there are emulsion tech that mix water into fuel as nano droplets. Japan is working on it. So this is a question plus an ask that how should they start or initiate, as this person is an anonymous. I don't have the name there. It's an anonymous. So anybody would.
Um,
Yeah.
Do you
So
want me to take a go? I think Avinash would be the right
Better.
person to
Yeah.
answer this because he's from the ecosystem. But so Avinash, do you want to have a go? I'm sure you'll cover it much better than I would.
Okay. So the anonymous person who's working on this, one is just having an idea versus like having expertise in that field right now. Okay, if you have that expertise in like liquefaction or use of like biomass and all, so definitely there are like actually institutions which are available. As I had mentioned, CSIR can like support. There's already a lot of research which is being done. So have you looked at like what is available, either or research capability within yourself, or you need to borrow it from somewhere? And that is something which you'll have to look at. Again, what exactly is your proposal? EVs are in transition. You're looking at like this as an alternative or something. So is that going to have a sustainable like actually opportunity in the market? If you're looking at only like actually a 1 year, 2 year time window in which like this product may exist, then you can't like start from like absolute scratch right now and intend to go to the market and then like try and catch the wave. It won't really be feasible in that. The second point you had raised about was actually the again like material sciences innovations are definitely like happening every also. In fact, we do have like actually some experts and startups which are working in the materials and the space that you're looking at. So you will need to have more clarity on like what you want to do and how you want to go about it. We can probably help and guide, but the idea itself will have to give you the idea. I hope that answers.
Yep. So if you want to vet your idea, whoever you are, we also run certain programs where you can come and have a discussion with our internal mentors. It's a 2 weeks program. You can stay with us, learn with us, and we have the mentoring options. Someone also has asked a similar question on how to get incubated at NSRCEL as a sustainability or renewable energy startup focused on solar trackers, where everybody is focused on solar panel innovation and building rooftop solars. So they are looking to get incubated at NSRCEL. I believe there would be definitely a channel where you can apply, and then your application will go through the process. And if in case they like your idea or whatsoever you're working on, if they feel that, okay, that can be taken ahead, then you might be eligible to get incubated. That's a very simple process. Even iCreate have an opportunity you can apply here. I'm not very sure about
Gladys,
IIIT.
I'm just going
Yeah,
to jump in.
yeah, yes.
Right. For the just the question on NSR cell that was in and around here, and also someone else has spoken about sectors in the Q&A. So, guys, we are usually our call for applications is open all year. If we are not having a cohort at the moment, we always have interest forms. Come down if you are a startup in Bangalore. Just come down, talk to us. It's in the campus. Walk in. We are all very happy to sit with the founder, talk to them, help you figure out whatever the issue might be it from as little as you're trying to get incorporated to trying to get a corporate partner on board. So whatever the issue is, please come down to our office, talk to us, to anyone at the NSR cell team. Very happy to take those. On our website, we have everything, that is the application form and the interest forms. I'll also drop it in the chat box here. Very specific sectors that we're focusing on are mobility and sustainability and climate tech as a whole. So these three are very specific sectors. I'll drop in the links and you can reach out to us through our websites or find us on LinkedIn. Trouble is on LinkedIn. Anything works. Just find a way to get in touch with the team. Also, in the attendees list, I saw that Selvi, you had raised your hand. Do you still want to take that question? You can raise your hand again and I will unmute you. Yes.
Punin, there's another, before you move on to the new person, there's also a comment that says NSRCEL team, if they're online, I just wanted to let them know that the link on sustainability program is not working. So you might want to look into that.
Sure, I will send a new link into the chat box right away.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, hi all. Thank you for the opportunity. So I just wanted to say that we're working on a startup idea, which is focused on modernizing school transit for students, and this is more like a solution that would ease the busy schedule of working parents. So that is our basic idea. So in this, one thing that I wanted to ask is like, we are working on, we are confused whether we have to go with asset ownership model, right? Like getting, buying our own fleet and managing the logistics, or should we go to leasing this aspect? Should we check on that? Which would be more profitable, or which would be more correct approach in our case, since we are just starting and we don't have much funds also. We are bootstrapping currently. We are looking for investors.
Should I take that, Laris? I'm sure even Samir might have something to add. So, Selvi,
Yep.
my simple answer is this, right? Go for leasing model. Like you rightly mentioned, you're just starting out. You don't have the capital to invest in assets. So once you figure out that the market is big, your revenue streams are stable, that you have, you're growing in terms of customer acquisition, the number of buses or vehicles that you're putting on the streets into your fleet. Once you're assured that you have good enough numbers, then you can start thinking of transferring those leases into assets or completely buying new assets. But from a business strategy point of view, don't go in for assets right now, because it's a huge capital expenditure. And from the investor's point of view, and Avinash might be able to corroborate on this, investors don't want to invest in capital assets, right? If you're going to take their money and build a factory, and all the money is going to go into building the factory and not selling stuff, okay, they would be a little skeptical. So if you take their money to make more money, they will be more than happy to give you money. But if you're going to take their money and bury it in the ground and say, "Ke ek din mango tree ugega," they might not be so keen on that.
Understood. Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for that input.
Yep.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Ravi. Right.
There is one more question. How can we borrow? Sorry, Gladys, I'm stepping on your toes, man.
No. Yes. You can pick up the question, Ravi. If
Okay, so there is one more question. How can we borrow research? And I'll answer this question as well, and then Avinash can add, because again, Avinash is more experienced on this. I'll talk from IIIT CIE side of you, because I also work there in IIIT. There's nothing like borrow. You can't take something and then say, okay, I've taken this research, I've extracted all the juice from it, so here, take it back, right? You can license research. That means you have to pay the research institute or the researchers money for using that research, right? So there is no borrowing, take it for some time and give it back. There is always licensing, and usually institutes will have clear guidelines on either whether they'll take money or whether they'll take equity in your startup. So and this is different for different institutes, right? So you have to speak to that institute and ask them the details. But most research institutes will be willing to license their research, because it's another source of income for them. Avinash?
Yep. So what you said is like absolutely spot on. IP is one thing that when you want your IP to be like actually respected by others, you also have to like reciprocate. Okay. So what we say is like it's not like borrowing, licensing is the model. What can happen is basically like it could have whatever like arrangements you make for IP or something. In case if there is like a background IP which you want to utilize, there are different terms in which like it is available. If you do want to like reach out to academic or research institutions which have the IP, then you can like actually reach out and like come to an agreement. A lot of these organizations are willing to like license the IP. either exclusively or non-exclusively, and allow you to like actually build your product solutions on top of that. One advantage that we offer, like based on like our engagement with CSIR, is for startups. They are willing to offer like actually more convenient or more like actually like relaxed conditions for licensing of the IP. So it could mean that like actually deferred payments or reduced payments for the IP, and all those possibilities are now open. So as a startup, like you'll be able to access it. And in case if you're looking at a problem statement and getting the research done, so there again there are models where like actually the commissioned projects or research can like lead to either an IP which belongs to you, or IP which is shared with like the innovators, and those models can be like explored. We can always help you out with that, and if you have specific requirements, you can reach out to us and we will like actually help you connect with CSIR or other research institutions and like actually work on that.
Over to you, Gladys.
Yeah,
We-
thank you very much. Last question, if any questions are there, anybody would like to ask? You're almost towards the end of the session.
There is one question out there. It says, Dear founders, I am a founder of an early stage EV mobility startup. We're looking for seed funding. Can someone give more insights on what should be our approaches? Any contacts who can help us approach bunch of investors? We are working and almost ready with our MVP. Ravi, would you like to take that?
Sure. Hi, Manas. There's a question from Anil as well. We missed that. Anil, we'll come to you in a bit. So, Manas, you deleted the question. Okay. Konen, don't delete the question because I still need to read it.
It's answered. I will put it back. I'm so sorry. It's in the answered.
Oh, it's in the dismiss tab, hopefully. No,
it's in the answered tab.
Oh, it's in the answered tab. Okay, just 1 second.
Yeah, just scroll down. I'm so sorry.
Okay. Right. Okay. So, Manas, there are a few steps. Okay, and again, this would be I think I would Avinash would need to co-answer this with me. But I'll tell you the first part, and the second part Avinash can chime in. Right now, there are a few steps that you need to do as a startup founder to get prepared for funding. Right. First and foremost is figure out why you want to raise funds. Right. Now, most startup founders think it is, they think the answer is on the tip of the tongue. I want to raise funds because I want to grow, or I want to build my business, or I want to make a product. That's at a very superficial level. You need to go down at the core and say, okay, I want to raise funds because I want to make this product that I can sell to 10 million people and make 100 million in revenues. So that's the why you should have, not just I want to make products, right? So first, identify your why. Second, figure out the right investors. Don't go to any and every investor, because they may or may not be in your sector. They may or may not be investing in the stage that you are in, which is early stage, right? Or they may not be, based on the risk appetite, they may not be very comfortable investing in certain types of startups, right? So you have to figure out what types of investors you want to approach, and then tailor your pitch based on that approach. So one of the things that we do is with startup founders in Funding Pitchcraft is come up with investor personas, right? Just like your customer personas, we come up with investor personas, and we say, okay, there are these types of investors who are tech focused, who are adventurous, who want to leave a legacy behind or want to get famous, etc., etc. Right? So if I'm going to sell to them, or if I'm going to pitch to them, I should be touching the right nerves, right? So if somebody wants to get famous, my pitch should say, by investing in us, we will grow and you'll become famous, right? So it's just like selling. You have to sell. You have to mention the keywords, right, that the audience is looking for, right? And then there are multiple institutes and organizations I create NSRCEL, CIE, incubators, accelerators across India that also can help you, connect with investors. So you could try approach them, become a part of their program, and then, connect with investors through them.
Yep. Thank you.
Yeah.
So, Conan, I believe we have taken care of all the answers.
Just wanted to add to like what
yes.
Ravi had basically told about or talked about. There are various like schemes and programs available from state governments, central governments, various departments, be it DST, MIT, and others, which offered a certain seed level support and otherwise. One is whether you're ready for it. You will have to go by like actually they all each of these schemes have their own criteria as to what qualifies for seed funding, what qualifies for like actually prototype development. All of it would be there. One point from your question, which I wanted to like maybe just sort of like give you an alert about kind of thing is if you're looking for a contact who is going to like connect you with bunch of investors, you're probably going to end up like reaching out to some middleman who is promising you like actually, oh, I'm going to get you seed funding. It is all free, and this is what is like my commission or my fees. That's warning basically because we've seen some of these operators emerge in the market who are going around like promising like seed support or grants from various schemes to like startups, and then at some point in time it is discovered and they like actually don't really get it, but the middleman by then has made like his money. Oh, they like getting you prepared or sending your like actually pitch decks to like a bunch of investors. They charge you for that, and that's basically like something which is non-refundable, and then like you're left with like actually nothing. So be wary of like actually trying to like actually take that shortcut. Even the investor that you're reaching out to, you should know that investor. And what Ravi had mentioned, like the investor persona has to be like actually identified, and then only you approach. Generic like actually bombardment to like potential investors, so called, doesn't bring you like any results as such. You're gonna be like actually shooting a lot, and these are all going to be like actually wild stabs at like possibilities, and it's not gonna lead you to anything. The better approach always is to now right now like the ecosystem of incubators and accelerators has matured a lot in the country. uh, Maybe you need to like actually go through them, see like what fits into your expectations and like your own like be it geography or like actually the sector or application itself, and then like through them you might be able to like actually have a much more like coordinated and effective campaign for like reaching out to investors, since you're very early stage at such, and this is a space where like actually just new idea is not going to get any investor excited. Maybe like 4 years back like someone would have got excited, not today. So be careful on like how you approach or what route you take for like reaching out to the investors. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Ravi and Avinash, and rightly pointed out, beware of such fraudsters and do not fall into any such traps. If you have any doubt, directly reach out on all of our website. There is telephone number, email address. Just check. We do not have any third person who takes care of all this funding and all. So don't get involved in such tactics and all. Yeah. Right. So today we have heard all the three incredible speakers who are really.
Gladys, I'm
Yeah.
sorry to interrupt. There are two more questions. Conan, can you just announce to stop asking questions? We'll answer these two and then wrap it up. Is that okay with you?
Yes, can do that. I'll
Right, so
just
no more
probably
questions
look
from
at
now
the
on.
next. There are three people who've raised their hands. We'll probably answer that. In the chat,
Okay.
there's one question. I'll just take that up. I have started a job consultancy for people who had job cuts this year. I want to know how I could make it innovative for NSRCEL to move to incubation. Right now, I'm doing the FOE in WSP. Lakshmi, I'm sure you're in touch with the WSP team, Ankita, Jibin, etc. These guys will be able to help you figure out how can you pivot it to a model where you can be a part of the incubation model as well, requesting you to take this up with Jibin and Ankita and team, as you're already a part of the incubation team here. And
And I believe
I think
screen
Anil.
4 is. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Yes.
Go ahead, Quinn.
Guys, keep your questions quick, please, about a minute and two, and also we'll try to answer it in a minute or two. Anil, I'm unmuting you.
Yes, ma'am, my question I've written in the chat box that I'm into a circular economy waste to wealth project where I'm converting steel slag into fertilizer. So I'm already incubated in NSRCEL, but getting a funding, as correctly said, for the capital intensive business is very, very difficult. But still, there is a problem that unless I've done the traction, but unless and until I do the commercial manufacturing, how I move ahead.
Ravi, would you want to answer that quickly?
Okay. I don't think I'm the right person to answer that question for the simple reason that I'm not from the industry. I don't know how that part of the industry works or how the investment in that industry works, right? So I'm sorry, except for very generic answers, I can't give you much, which I've already answered through chat. Avinash, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, so I would just want to suggest that beyond actually what is the startup or incubation and all, there are number of schemes for the MSMEs also. When you are going into this kind of actually area, you might actually want to explore those schemes where governments have given that actually they're running a number of schemes such projects, so you can explore that.
Okay, no issue. But actually, I'm already doing that, and I'm putting up a plan with 30 crores of investment. But getting a venture funding really is becoming very, very difficult for me.
Let me see if I can help you out, mate. So you've got a product. You've just not made any money, right? You made zero money, no revenue.
Yeah. We do sell material, but not in a large quantity because we don't have a processing unit of our
why
unit.
do you need 30 crores, right? I mean, that's a lot of money for seed funding. The number of investors
not seed funding. We want venture funding. That's the point.
Yeah,
right,
I
so
think you have two issues. Firstly, your first one is that you're asking for too much money. It's going to be very difficult to raise 30 crores. If you're not a second time founder in India, to raise 30 crores for something is very difficult. You need to get to grips with that. Secondly, I can hear from your voice you're frustrated, but then there's no point in over talking or someone. You just first you need to go back and see, can you raise a 4 crore, 5 crore round? That should be your first thing, because can you see if you can make something work with that? 30 crores is going to be very difficult. You really need to rethink your investment plan.
Excuse me, sir. I'm not interested to raise 30 crore. Balance is there. I'm interested 5 crore out of 30 crore. Rest is there. That is what I'm telling.
Okay. Then I think go for an angel round. See if you can go to Kiritsu Forum, Let's Venture, and see.
Yeah. That's what actually I want, the connections.
Okay, understood. If you're with NSRCEL, I'm sure they can make that introduction for you.
Yeah. That's the point, sir. Thank you.
Yeah.
Right. Thanks, Amir. Next, I think there's Vardini. Just going to unmute you.
Hi everyone. Thank you for this wonderful session. So I am a partner of Selvi, who just asked a question with you guys. So I would like to add on to the same. We are facing to find a leasing partner. So I just wanted to know if Samir can help us out with this particular our business model. If he can
Happy to have a conversation after this one.
Yeah. And
you can get my details. No problem.
Sorry.
You can get my details off Kanin, and happy to have a conversation after.
Yeah, sure. Okay. Thank you so much.
Yep, thank you.
Thanks, Amir. I think last person will be Lakshmi MG, because Selvi and Vardini are a team. Lakshmi, I have unmuted you.
Hi, thanks. Hi everyone. I think it was really amazing, discussion to hear about the new startups, and it was very inspiring to hear from Ravi Warrior, Avinash Pinekar, and also Samir Arif. Um, what my question was, I think already I just sent in chat also. Just last month, I just kickstarted my new entrepreneurship. I have 14 years plus experience of project manager plus IT corporate. And I started this job consultancy actually for the, for people. I see that this year has been a lot of people who have got job cuts. So I just wanted to help people to get back on job. So I was trying my best to do something here. So three things I wanted to ask was how can I, you know, m- uh, collaborate with the companies, to help these uh, employees, these kinds of employees. And another thing is that how can I just get revenue also like with this? So if something you could throw some light on this, it will be really helpful. Like,
To be honest, I didn't understand the question at all.
okay, okay, Samir. I meant that how can I collaborate with the companies, to help these employees, like these job cut employees, to get jobs back. Like, do you have any innovative ideas, like for me, something like that?
May I take it? If Samir, do you want to take it?
No. I think my answer would be if I knew I would be the founder of your
Okay.
startup, right?
Okay. So Lakshmi, it's very simple, right? So first of all, unless you are an established player, you can't talk of collaborations, right? Normally, how organizations work, and I know most of this because my ex-wife was in recruitment for a very long time. Companies
Okay.
will hire you as a vendor, okay, and then you
Okay.
have to fill in positions. So they'll say, okay, this month I have 10 positions. I want you to fill it up, and you fill it up, and then they give you some fee or some commission, whatever the deal is, right? So that's how you make money, and that's how you talk to corporates, right? So get the collaboration part out of your head. You are just going to be a service provider. You're going to be a vendor. You have to, and the biggest challenge is to get on the approved vendor list of most corporates, right? So if you're a single person, you're going to find it very difficult because to get on approved vendor list, you have to meet certain criteria. So forget corporates. If you're a single person trying to do this service, you're just starting out, it's understandable. Try to hook up with organizations, let's say like I Create, CIE, NSRCEL, and become their HR partner, right? So and again, I'm talking on behalf of other people. I shouldn't be doing that, but the way I see it is maybe let's say Gladys and Avinash, who have 50, 100 startups working for them, and they need employees, right? So
Okay.
they connect the startup founders with you, and then you fill up positions for those people. So that is one way I would probably go about doing it. Corporates, forget it. You don't have the credibility as of today.
Got it. Yeah.
Yeah. So you can
Yeah, I
try
got
that.
it. Yeah. Yeah, I think that was a really great idea. I hope Avinash
You can
and Gladys
also, sorry,
could help
you
me.
can also become a subcontractor for an existing recruitment agency.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's also a good uh, thing what you suggested, but I think I should reach out to them, right? That's the main thing, right?
Yes.
So, I think that was very helpful. And I mean, since it's a startup, I had people telling me one thing. It is that you won't get revenue from both employee and from the company. They will play games with it. So I just wanted to know.
Okay, if you this is a personal thing. If you're taking money from both people, I think you're unethical, right? You take money from
That's
one
right. Yeah,
person,
totally agree. Yeah.
right? So if you've ever gone to a real estate agent who like takes money from you, ek mahina commission from you, also takes ek mahina commission from. See, the problem is not taking money. The problem is where will your allegiance lie, right? So are you working for the employees or job seekers, or are you working for the corporates, right? So when you're taking money from both, and if there's a dispute, whose side will you take, right? And that becomes a conundrum. That's why it's never a good practice to be a broker that takes money from both ends.
Got it. Actually, I didn't have that in mind. Okay. But when I told them that I have started this kind of startup, then they kind of just imbibed this telling like this. Okay. So I felt to feel the discouragement. Okay, of doing this. So that's why
Don't
I'm
worry.
trying to understand.
Take money from companies, not from job seekers. Otherwise, you'll come across as, see, there are lots of scamsters. Just like Avinash pointed out, there are people who will say, I'll get you seed funding, mujhe paisa do, main karke dunga. You'll also sound like one of them, like, mujhe paisa do, main job la ke dungi. And you'll just come across as a scamster. You'll have to prove double hard that you're not a scamster. So take money from corporates, don't take money from job seekers.
Yeah, I think this is the great idea you told me. Yeah, thank you so much, Ravi Warrior. Yeah, I think I got my answers. Thank you so much. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much. Guys, I think we're going to close with questions. Could you tell me how can I reach Samir and Ravi regarding our business? Guys, Ravi's full name is Ravi Warrior. Please reach out to him on LinkedIn. Samir's full name is Samir R.F. Sinclair. Please reach out to him on LinkedIn as well. Those would be the easiest ways you can reach out to them. Probably just closing comments here. The participants, thank you so much for taking your time out and being interactive in the Q&A. And the panelists, guys, you were great. It was a very, very informative session. Gladys, thanks for moderating the conversation in a beautiful way that got out so many insights from these guys. So I think that's it. We have a hard stop at 5:45 actually. I'm running a bit late. So I'm just going to end this. Thank you, guys.
Thank you so very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Thank you
Bye-bye.
for your
Thank
patience.
you, everyone. Nice seeing you. Nice meeting you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye, everyone. Bye.